My fellow Marylanders, the Maryland Freedom Caucus is here to share with you the real state of the state of Maryland, because we are absolutely committed to exposing the gaslighting of the Democrats here in Annapolis, including Governor Wes Moore. What is the state of Maryland, you ask? Well, it's the state of energy. Just this week, homes in Maryland actually experienced blackouts due to our lack of production here in the state. While Wes Moore and the Maryland Democrats continue to worship their green goddess of energy, wind and solar, PJM actually stated this morning at peak that less than 8% of total load was actually coming from renewables. Almost all of the energy on the PJM grid comes from oil, coal, natural gas, and nuclear. So while we pretend that we're green here in the state of Maryland, oil, coal, and natural gas are actually powering the homes of our state today, Governor. And thanks to asinine programs like RGGI, those producers in Maryland actually get taxed on their carbon emissions for being effective producers. And all of those costs get passed directly on to you, to the tune of billions of dollars, by the way. Citizens in the state of Maryland today are paying more than a mortgage for their electricity bills. Bills went from $200 a month to $600, $700, $800 a month, which brings us to the state of the budget. In 2025, we came into session with a $3 billion budget deficit. The governor used up all of the leftover COVID relief money that had been left to him by his predecessor for a rainy day. Within weeks of the last budget passing, we were already in a deficit again. This year, we came in with a $1.4 billion budget shortfall, despite the fact that the governor raised hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes and fees right on the backs of the working class. Has anybody gone to register their car lately? Applied for a business license? He's even taxed canoes. And now, again this year, Governor Moore intends to balance the budget on the backs of the disabled. That's right, $150 million in cuts have been suggested by the governor. The one group of people the governor should rightly care for, those who are severely disabled. But those are the folks that he looks for to balance his budget because he's failed to tell his own party no to their pie in the sky ideas. The governor has taxed and feed us all to death. And for what, you might ask? The state of education. It's been years since the blueprint budget busting education policy passed, and it still cannot be implemented. Why? Because the theory behind the blueprint, for it to actually work, we need almost 15,000 new teachers in the state of Maryland. It cannot be implemented without that. How many new teachers do you think we've recruited? 1,500. Teachers do not want to move here. They don't want to live here, and they don't want to raise their families here. Why, you ask? Because of the state of affordability. Maryland now ranks at the bottom of the nation for business friendliness. People are escaping from our state en masse, according to the latest comptroller's report. The cost of living is absurdly high. The cost of driving a car is also crazy. The cost of owning a home, did you get your assessments yet? Well, they're coming, and they're on par with the astronomical energy bills that you're currently getting. While inflation has cooled nationwide, even according to liberal outlets, that hasn't been felt in the grocery store prices, likely because small grocery stores are now paying, some of them, over $40,000 a month for their energy bills. And they're also paying thousands in new employment regulations that have passed since this governor has been in office. The state of crime is really the only positive I can see in the state of Maryland right now. This is about the only success that we've had. Crime has gone down, not just here, but all over the country. And while Democrats like Governor Wes Moore and Baltimore's Mayor Brandon Scott are fighting over whose success it is, the rest of the thinking world has noticed all the declines have happened since Donald Trump took office. He closed down the borders to illegal cartels that were smuggling humans, children, women, and drugs into our communities. Overdoses have all but disappeared. And instead of giving credit where it's due and acknowledging that ICE is doing an amazing job getting rid of horrible criminal gang members who are slaughtering children to death in our state with machetes, instead of that, what is Wes Moore doing? He's hand-wringing about how terrible ICE is. You'd think that illegals were voting in the state of Maryland or something. But they are registered. Let's not forget the story of Ian Roberts, the illegal charged with gun crimes, who was an out-of-state school superintendent, but to this day is a registered voter in the state of Maryland. But what thanks do our brave law enforcement actually get for helping to bring the crime rates down in Maryland and other states? Well, they get bills to ban cooperation with ICE, bills to allow for the easier doxing of agents so that they and their families can live in fear, and attempts to prevent holding facilities from being built here in Maryland. The state of politics is what this brings us to. To listen to Governor Moore give an hour-long campaign speech, I was honestly confused if he knew what state he was the governor of. Does he know he lives in Maryland? Maryland, the state with the largest structural deficits caused directly by his own party that have left our bond ratings downgraded. Maryland, the state with one of the highest tax burdens in the country. Maryland, rated the most business-unfriendly state in the nation. Maryland, the state with some of the highest out-migration numbers in the country. Maryland, whose children, many of whom have such low test scores that they are graduating and don't know how to read, despite us spending more than almost every other state on per-pupil funding. Maryland, a state that imports almost half of our energy from other states, yet is forcing everyday families to pay for the rich white liberal green delusions. Does Governor Moore know what state he actually lives in? The real state of the state of Maryland is $1,000 energy bills for grandparents on fixed incomes. It's children graduating who don't know how to read. It's parents having to decide between buying groceries and renewing their car registrations because the fees have doubled again. It's victims of illegal criminals wondering, when will their elected leaders ever say the names of their children who were senselessly murdered? That is the actual state of the state of Maryland.